Hi everybody, I'm Rhiannon, owner of the Epsom Bakehouse, and today I'll be chatting about one simple thing you can do to add more flavour into your bread without the need for any extra ingredients. If you're watching these lives and you'd like more bread making tips, recipes and information about baking your own great bread at home, then check the comments and you can sign up for my regular newsletter. So today I thought about putting more flavour into your bread. Just had a class making these delicious baguettes, and they are absolutely full of flavour without needing to add any extra ingredients. So you might be wondering, what can you do? And it's a simple step, and that is taking some of the flour and water and yeast from your recipe the night before and mixing them together. So it could be, say, 100 grams each of the flour and water and a pinch of yeast, mixing them together and putting them overnight in the fridge and allowing that pre-dough, as it's called, to develop. And that one step, using the existing ingredients in your recipe, can really add some additional flavour. What happens is that when you mix the flour and water and that pinch of yeast together, the yeast get to work straight away, breaking down the starches in the flour into sugars. And that adds more flavour into your dough. So it's a really great way, without involving any more particularly of your time and effort, to get that flavour into your dough. You allow this process of fermentation, as it's called, when the yeast are breaking down the starches in your flour, in your dough. You allow that process of fermentation to go on for longer and at a cooler temperature. And it will have that time for the yeast to break down the starches is what adds in all that flavour to your dough. The process, you might have heard of it, it can be used things such as a poolish, a bega, or a pre-dough, or a pre-ferment. All of those things use the same basic technique in that we're mixing some of the flour and water and a pinch of yeast from your recipe, so it's using the existing ingredients in your recipe to create that pre-ferment. And then simply the next day, you add in the remaining ingredients for your dough. And that can be used in lots of different breads. But as mentioned, I've been using it today in baking these delicious crusty baguettes in class. And you get that really delicious slight tang of flavour and a really light, airy crumb in the final bread. So if you're going to try that out, let me know. Using that pre-dough, that pre-ferment in your breads, and using up some of the ingredients to create that extra flour without having to use any extra ingredients. As mentioned, if you'd like to know more about bread making tips, recipes, and more about my online classes that you can join and learn to bake step-by-step delicious breads just like these baguettes, then do sign up for my bread making tips email. The link is in the comments below. And if you've got any other bread making tips that you'd like discussed on one of these lives, then do let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll say bye for now and see you again soon.